Yet another night of protest in Brooklyn. Hundreds gathered on the streets to vent their anger after a 16-year-old black boy was killed by police. Officers claim the teenager pointed a gun at them before they hit him with several rounds back. Some are accusing the police, though, of systematic racism, as RT's Marina Portnaia reports.
Relations between tens of thousands of New Yorkers and the city's police department may have hit an all-time low, this coming after a 16-year-old was shot and killed by two plainclothes officers Saturday evening. According to reports, Kamani Gray was standing outside of a home in Flatbush, Brooklyn, with a group of men when the two officers approached. The boy ended up being shot 11 times and was brought to a hospital where he later died. Now, according to police, they say that the teenager, Mr. Gray, pulled out a handgun and pointed it at authorities, and that's what caused them to shoot and fire at the teenager, subsequently killing him. But according to Mr. Gray's friends, family, and even some witnesses, they say that no gun was ever pointed at the plainclothes police officers. Now, according to the NYPD, 38 caliber revolver was recovered at the scene, but that the gun was not fired. Now, police say that Mr. Gray had prior arrests for grand larceny and an arrest for inciting a riot, but his family and friends say that the NYPD is just trying to paint a bad picture of a teenager who was just coming home from a baby shower Saturday evening and ended up being shot and killed by police officers. Now, this, of course, has angered a lot of residents in the community. On Monday evening, approximately 100 people were holding a vigil for Kamani Gray when protest broke out outside of the 67th precinct where I'm standing. According to reports, some members of those that gathered for the vigil began throwing bottles and yelling, eventually making their way to a nearby pharmacy, going inside the pharmacy and trashing it. But those that came out to the vigil to support Kamani Gray say that the majority of people were protesting peacefully. They were protesting against what they say is an epidemic of police brutality. Residents I spoke with around here say that they are all too familiar with teenagers dying as a result of police shootings.
Anytime that there's any gun violence in this neighborhood concerning police, cops shooting innocent teenagers and killing them. They're not injuring them. They're not shooting to injure as they should be taught. If we had more veterans on the police force, they would know that, okay, if I shot this individual in his calf or in his thigh, he could live and stand trial and face charges for whatever he's being accused of. But they're being judge and executioner in the middle of the streets. And a lot of teenagers are dying unfairly because of these actions.
You don't shoot to kill. You're just supposed to, fire a shot in possibly the leg or the arm, or they shot him in the nose. So I heard on one TV station, I think it was Channel 11, and then I heard that they shot him in the back 2 times, and it was just absolutely crazy what happened. I absolutely disagree with it.
The city says an investigation into the police-involved shooting of the teenager is ongoing. Last year, according to reports, 21 New Yorkers died as a result of police shootings. And if anything, this latest event has just fueled the distrust that already exists between millions of New Yorkers and the NYPD. Reporting from Flatbush, Brooklyn in New York, Marina Portnaia, RT.
OK, let's get more now from Michael Skolnick. Go live to him. He's editor of the current affairs website, The Global Guide. Morning, Michael. Thanks for being with us. Were the police acting according to the book here? Was it in self-defence?
At this point, we have no idea exactly what happened. I think what we do know is that a 16-year-old kid was shot 11 times, and the police claim that there was a gun and that it was his gun. We need a thorough, independent investigation into this case, not just an investigation by the NYPD themselves, investigating themselves, but really a thorough, independent investigation to find out exactly what happened. But regardless of what happened that night, as your reporter was just discussing, there is an absolute growing tension in this city over the years between the police department and the community, and situations like this are happening far too often and far too frequently. And what happened to Kamani, a 16-year-old kid getting shot 11 times, is very, very unfortunate. And hopefully we'll get some answers quite quickly from the police department, and if not, from the city of New York.
Will the names of the policemen accused of killing the teenager be kept secret? Will they face any charges? What do we know?
As of right now, the 2 officers have been put on administrative leave. Their names have not been released. I think at some point their names will be released. And if there is the proper investigation and they were, in fact, doing something wrong, I sincerely hope to be put on trial for murdering a 16-year-old child. But until that point, it is an investigation, an ongoing investigation. But what I saw, I was in Brooklyn for the protest. I live in Brooklyn. I'm here in Brooklyn right now in my home. And what I saw in Brooklyn in the evening was young people, and I'm very happy that your reporting is actually accurately reporting. I've heard a lot of American outlets talk about a riot and people being unruly, and yes, there were some that were unruly, but as your reporter pointed out, most of the folks who are out there on Monday and Tuesday night were just exercising their constitutional right to peacefully assemble and to protest, and an overwhelming majority of them were peaceful and were upset and sad and mourning the death of their friend. Many young kids who were out there had lost their friend, didn't know where to go, so they took to the street, and they did the right thing. They protested peacefully, they want answers, and they deserve answers.
And are those protests over now, or will they continue?
I hope they continue. I think one of the great things about this country is that we do have the right to peacefully assemble and protest our government, or protest the police department, or protest a corporation. I think these young people were exercising that right. I support them in doing that. Until they have answers, until they get the answers they need, they should protest. They should take to the streets. They certainly should not destroy anyone else's property or do anything that's illegal. But they have every right, and I encourage them to use that right. So this doesn't happen again. As your reporter pointed out, we had 21 shootings by police officers in New York City last year. It's up 70% from the year prior. We have a horrible racist policy called stop and frisk. We're just stopping an overwhelming number of black and brown men in our city for no apparent reason. This might have been a stop and frisk action by the police. We're not sure yet. But there is an antagonization of the police to these young people that we hit rock bottom. And now we see a 16-year-old kid getting shot.
Michael, Fred, we've got to leave it there. Michael Skolnick, editor of the Current Affairs website, The Global Grind. Thank you ever so much for taking the time to be with us. Appreciate it.